senior. Here is, he's a retired social worker and counselor in Wake County. He has 25 years of experience working with mental illness, such as depression, suicidal thoughts, etc. He's also been involved in the empowerment for men 25 years, facilitated for various conferences, formed to encourage and empower men to discover the combination of Sheriff Warren. Mr. Warren is a father, motivational speaker, and founder and executive director of his son here, Mr. Glen Warren, is the senior manager with Fathers Forever, and he has worked with various organizations throughout his career and hosts a monthly podcast called Straight Talk, which deals with issues that plague global African American communities. He has a passion for community enrichment and development. Mr. Williams also volunteers at the Raleigh Rescue, and he is certified to teach anger management and survivors of the bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree. I'm fortunate enough to work with these guys every day. They actually do our transitional housing in Lake County, and I consider them my friends. Great organization. They do great work with the department on their own contract with the department, and they have helping out guys. I think got 42, 38 benefits currently in 40 houses in Raleigh, working on house number 5 and 6. So it will be coming up. We keep them busy. I'm very busy, and I'm happy that y'all are here.
Try to stand with okay. And so Johnny, I wanted to thank you Kelly for the opportunity to come and thank you guys for waiting to go on our leading down for the last 5 years. I got a long history of working with you. So I really appreciate you guys coming in. But I'm really excited about our partnership that we have with DOC now.
Yeah.
And the you said DPS.
Yeah.
DAC.
I keep up with you.
So I grew up in a household with my dad. I was 7 of us. I was a middle child. I wasn't small. I was the middle one. It wasn't no better than that. But I had 3 older and 3 younger. I was a very sickly child when I was growing up. Oh, really?
You mean there's 2. You.
I grew up in a household with that. So I knew what it's like to be. My dad worked 16 hours a day, 2 full-time jobs. My mom would be, she took care of us. My dad was the breadwinner. He worked. So I knew what was happening. He was on around his life, and he passed away. So I know what that's like. Working in the field for like 35 years, people were starting off with bipolar, manic depression, suicide, depression, substance abuse. I know what that's like too. And it's not pretty. And so a lot of times when I sit down and think about social with my particular parents, when the question I was asking about the family is, and you know your father. A lot of times that father check. They didn't put it in. So we work with primarily adults. So now these adults are sitting in our office crying, boo-hooing, sad, depressed. And one of the common denominators was they didn't know what they had for. And so I started on this quest of working with fathers. Let me ask you a question. Let me make it to you. And we're going to talk about it at the end. Imagine a world where every child has a father. Some point in time, you're going to close your eyes. Imagine that world where every child. What would that be? And some say maybe it's impossible. Well, maybe it is, maybe it ain't. 4 years ago, we didn't believe that we could fly airplanes until the Wright brothers and Kittyhawk decided we could. Right? Years after again, we didn't believe that we could be on the moon until NASA decided we could. So maybe perhaps we can at least cut down anyway. But just imagine the world. What would it like? How would you live with every child? So my quest, my call in life is to help provide men that place where they can understand what father is and be a that child father. We're gonna go a little bit of statistics. We have one fact that we have that we talk about statistics. 4 times greater risk of father, more likely to have behavior problems. Now, what is a behavior problem? When I was coming up, we called that conduct. We got the report card. If you either had a U or you had an S. I'm dating myself. I know y'all already young. If you got a U, that was unsatisfactory. If you got an S, that was satisfactory. So if I came home and I had a U, my daddy, I had all A's and B's, he would beat my butt. Because at least you know how to act. I taught you how to behave. And the other thing is the 4 times they have more likely to have behavior problems. Because how many fathers and moms parent differently? We do. Mom is she may be rescuing little Johnny from the stove. What daddy say? Let him touch it one time.
Yep.
That's the difference. And so when you don't have both parents in there, you're gonna have to nurture your mom is doing the best she could, but she needs that father figure in. We tell our clients the best parent is both parents. And you have to be a part of your kid's life. So when you look at the father's generation, 4 times greater to live in father. The behavior problem. Infant mortality. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, the infant mortality rate is greatest among single parents in the African American community in this country. And that's not saying because the father was there, the children will live, but it's more likely that the children will prosper past the first year of birth. Infant mortality is really disparaging in our community because children are dying before the age of 1. What would it look like if the father was in the household with those children? Now, it may not be perfect, but that 2-parent household works better together. And unfortunately, prenatal care, going to the doctor, all those things are not being done because a lot of times there's not enough time. There's that 2-parent household that can make that thing happen. And you know what? A lot of times we say, well, if you're going to in the house, make a difference. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. And unfortunately, we've come up in a society now where it's like, mom can do it by herself. And moms have done a wonderful job. I'm a product of a single mother household. But what would it been like if my father would have been to help out? I saw how my mom would struggle. I saw how my mom had to do that extra money. I had uncles and other people that take a lead in my life. But what if my dad hadn't been there? That dad makes an important difference in anybody's life. How many of you guys raise your hand and had your fathers with you? Wasn't that a great feeling? What if he wasn't there? What if he wasn't there? Especially for the little girls and the little boys. Mama could take me so far. But I needed that man to teach me how to be a man. We need fathers. We need
18.4 million children. 1 in 4 without kids growing up in the household without their biological father, their stepfather, their adopted father. They are more likely to commit crime to go to prison. I was asked to come to speak at Houston years ago when it was a kid, so like 18 to 24. There were like 120 students that got their GED. And I asked them a question. How many grew up in a household without your dad? And so many raised their hand, I had to rephrase the question. So I said, group in the household with your dad. And there was very few raised their hands that group in the household with their dad. Now they asked me to speak at a social worker event in North Carolina State for social workers who want to be social workers. And they would ask me questions. So I had to say questions. How many group in the household with your dad? I have 30 students. About 25 of them raised their hand. So you see where they're going. They're going to a higher education. You see where the guys that group in the household, where they was going, where they were. They was in prison. So 78% of guys that now are in prison, are incarcerated, come from a household where dad is not involved. That's alarming. 78% of high school dropouts come from households. Those statistics are not up there. But I be teaching statistics. So one of our classes that we have, we talk about statistics. And we go over every one of those statistics. And at the end of the class, the guys look at me like, these statistics are not real. I said, they are real. In fact, how can they are now? So 75% of high school dropouts come from a fatherless home. So if a high school dropout, what is going to happen when you become a high school dropout? What is he going to do? He's going to stand out on the corner, doing drugs, doing alcohol, eventually end up breaking the law. Now he's going to be in prison. So when you look at, yeah, that's okay. So when you look at the statistics again, it's very imperative, very important that you include a fatherhood component to your reentry. A lot of times, a lot of guys come to us now, and when we make them, they have to, if they got kids under 18, they have to be part of the fatherhood. Everybody that comes out, house is not a father. But those that are, if they have kids under 18, there's a requirement they have to come to our 12-week fatherhood class. And we teach them about fatherhood. And a lot of times, by the time they leave, one of the motivating factors, they say, Mr. Glenn, I don't want to go to prison because I got my 11-year-old daughter. I got my 2 kids. So it's important to make sure you plug that in to your fatherhood component, I mean, your reentry, because fatherhood is important. And so we got a couple of guys now who got their license, they got their cars, and one guy just got out, and he's got his little girl, 4 years old. He hadn't connected with her since he was in prison. Now he's out. And one of the things that he's trying to do now is reconnect. And that's what kind of negative for him, because now he's doing so well that the family member now are getting scared that he may try to come and get his daughter, which is his goal. And now they're trying to fight that. But that's a motivating factor to him, like it is to so many. I'm not going to go back to prison because of my kids. And you have to drill that into their head, because sometimes they don't think, they're not thinking of it. So we have to make sure they understand the importance that your kids need you. And don't get mad with the people who raise your kids while you're incarcerated. Thank them for doing your job while you could. But at the same time, now it's time for you to step up to the plate and be the father that you were born to be. Let's go to the.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say, this is fine. The importance of what we're doing is collaborating with some of the local entities in our community. We're a nonprofit, so nonprofits don't have a plethora of money. So it's important that we partner with like the POs. We have a good relationship with the POs. LRC, NC Works, the 2 different churches in our community. We have to use all those stakeholders in the community to help us with what we have going on. Because one, we can't do it by ourselves. A lot of times when you work in this field, you're not getting paid a government amount of money. You're doing it because you want to help people. And collaboration with our stakeholders is very important. And the way you build those relationships, you go in and talk to the people. You tell them what you're doing. People actually want to help, but you gotta let them know what you need and how you can help. Clothing, hygiene equipment, shoes, socks, the basic necessities, a lot of stuff we take for granted. Sometimes you just have to ask somebody, and they'll help you. They'll but you just have to ask. So it's good when you collaborate. So there's something you're on this island by yourself. Go out and ask for help, because if you ask for help, you'll get the help.
Yeah. And we talk about how the little boys communication, but housing, as we all know, is a major issue. Now, what would you like if you grew up, if you woke up in the morning, didn't know where you was gonna spend the next night, didn't know where you were gonna, how stressful would that be? That in itself is stressful. Not knowing where I'm gonna lay my head, I'm gonna sleep. And so we work with hospital house, we work with a lot of other houses to try to get it down. Permanent housing, housing always an issue. A lot of guys can't go back home. They don't want to go back home. They don't want to went to those neighborhoods that they got in trouble before. They can't go back home, but now they got a felon. And as a felon living in Section 8, they can't go back home. The housing become a major problem. The other thing is employment. Now, when we started this, we worked with a staffing agency. And the staffing agency, you don't know anything about staffing agency, but you got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning in order to get down at 5:30, 6 o'clock and stand in line. The folks, they're going to pick you. They may or may not pick you. And so watching our guys get up and get down there, and by 8 o'clock get back at the house because they didn't get picked that day. And yesterday I was doing the simulation, and I never got to the employment part. I went to jail the first week. The second week I had to go back because I lost my ID. The first profession was supposed to be helping me, didn't really help me. And I'm really frustrated. And so I understand a little bit of what these guys go through when they're trying to find jobs. And so we created what we call My Daddy's Working Solution, which is our own staffing agent. Now we don't just help guys find a job. Our job is to help them find a career. We connect with employers that not only will they work with them the 90 days, but they'll transition to work with them full time. And we have a whole lot of clients now who went to My Dad's Working Solution are now working full time with one of the places, Custom Doors, where they're learning how to install garage doors. And we have a number of clients who now work full time. And that's our goal, is to make sure that they're not just getting a job, that they can get something to turn into a career. We just signed a contract last week with an agency that's going to provide. We got to provide 14 men for the duty of the flag. Mm-hmm. So when the guys come to us, we can put them straight to work because they got their prison ID, and while they're getting the other ID, they can work through our solution. And so these guys now are getting out of work one day and starting to work the next. That's another thing and we have the case management that help them stay on task. What is it to show up on time? What does that look like? To dress appropriately. To not be on your cell phone when you're supposed to be working. Mm-hmm. So we have case managers that make sure that these guys are doing what, and they need that support because when I never been to prison, but I'm sure when you just got out of prison and you trying to do 1,000 things, and 90 days, thank God they're not discharged to the street, but 90 days is not a whole lot of time. And so they got to get a whole lot accomplished in 90 days.
Oh, I was just going to piggyback on Kevin. 90 days is not a lot of time. And think about it. I want everybody to think about this. You see these young guys in the street that can't. Mm-hmm. That's one of the hardest things to do is try to get them to full repentance. Or try to have them sit through a mock interview and not say, "Hey, bro, yeah," or "I mean." What is that? You can't go to a job and talk to an employer like that. So we have to teach these basic skills. So a lot of times when reentry guys are coming out, we have to think about almost as if almost because they have to be retaught everything. And it took me a while to understand it. And here's an example. Guy came the other day, he had a cell phone. He's like, I said, "What do you think?" He's standing on my desk. I said, "What do you think?" So I don't know how to turn it on. I like, "Just hit the power button." He said, "There's no button." And then it dawned on him. He's been in prison 45 years. He has no idea what it is. The only thing I did was give him the box. I'm thinking, okay, built to operate the phone, but he had no clue. And I had to sit, and although I was busy, but I had to spend that time with him to show him how to turn that phone on. And when those guys were talking the other day about going to the bathroom and how the water comes on out of that, we have to remember these guys have been gone for a while. They have to be taught everything. Their dialect, we have to teach them how to speak correctly. Because a lot of them are not speaking. A lot of them are just yelling and screaming. We have to teach them how to groom themselves correctly. Because a lot of them are not grooming themselves. We have a lot coming out with mental health issues. Mental health issues, they're dealing with PTSD issues coming out of prison. They've seen so many things going on in the prison. And you have to be able to identify what's going on with it. We partner with Monarch. We partner with Monarch so they can get the mental health things they need. The disability thing, we partner with a lot of people in the community because unfortunately we just can't do it by ourselves. We cannot, and these guys need a lot of help. So when they're coming to you, asking for help, they actually need it. They need it, and they have empathy for them. Please have empathy for them because if not, you're going to turn them away. One of the guys said the other day, he said, when I came here, he said, I felt lost, but you guys have made me feel welcome. He said, I feel like I'm wrong. How do you think you would feel you coming out of prison and you don't know nobody, you're in a strange community, don't know your no family around, and then you get a friendly face? That alone is gonna make you feel a little bit better. And then we can start working with it. You have to be slow. Sometimes my patience, my patience like this. Because it's like, so the simple things I think they should know, they really don't. They really don't. So you have to always say when you're working with these guys, put yourself in their shoes. If you didn't go to the training yesterday where you had the Dr. Warren went to prison, when I did it, I'm gonna tell you, I robbed the bank. I did. I was like, well, the money's right here. You just sitting there. Can I get the money? And they said, yeah, you're going to jail. I said, we don't care. I get the money. So you think how they feel when they're out there. I can do this and I can go get a bed and a couch. I ain't got worried about it. We have to have empathy for these guys and we have to teach them the right way. Teach them. It's a teaching moment.
Yeah, the mental health part. Thank God for Governor Cooper, and now they got the Medicaid expansion, which a lot of guys are not gonna be able to qualify for Medicaid. They can get mental help that they need. Joey, I didn't want to tell everybody this, but yesterday I stole some bus tickets. So I took some bus tickets. I ran out of money. I had a bus ticket, and one of the ladies that was, we were both clients, and the guy walked up from the station. But that's a bus ticket. Right? Let's see the bus ticket. Now I'm in my heart. I know I shouldn't have done that. I know I shouldn't, but I'm frustrated. I'm agitated. I'm angry, and I'm egged on to break the law. And guess what I did? I took those bus tickets and I put them up. So we can see. We said, why did you? When they do crazy stuff, why did you do that? Because they're frustrated. They know they shouldn't do it. But the point is they're frustrated, they're angry, they're mad. They're trying. Sometimes we make it very hard for them to do the right thing for us. And I put those in my pocket. Now it didn't add up too much because I still needed some money when I got to the destination to buy something I didn't have. So I sold those bus tickets for no reason. And it didn't dawn on me until I sit in my chair and said, wow, these are some of our clients. And we have to tell them, and I know some myself, I just told them that to make the bed up. You got to tell them every day because part of their life has not been following the rules. That's why they're in the situation they're in now. They don't follow rules, simple rules. But we got to help reframe their brain that this is the thing that you need to do. So we have constantly tell them over and over again, remind them to do the right thing. And you have to do it in love. You have to do it with confidence and firm. And as far as the guys running out with saggy pants, that's why the father needs to be involved. Mom may allow that stuff to happen. Most men I know, you ain't walk around with me with no saggy pants. That ain't gonna happen. So when men are in their kids' life, you'll see a lot of that go away. Again, imagine a world if you live with every father. What would that be? Incorporation of fatherhood, corners of Reentry program. How effective is responsible fatherhood? It's very effective. These are some of the things that we have a 12-week curriculum, and we're going to talk about for this book a little bit down the road. But this is our 12-week curriculum that we've been teaching for the last since 2008. In 2008, we started Father Forever. We just started the fatherhood component of a few years ago, but we started the fatherhood program for teaching the 12-week class in 2008, and we was in the child support court, and where we got a lot of referrals. If a guy's at risk of going to jail for non-child support, instead of putting them in jail, the judge would sit on child program, and we'll take them through the 12-week class, and they have the responsibility of getting to the class. The jail, they have to give them a 30-day sentence. If you don't come to class, we can suspend the sentence. You go to jail. Just like when you get a DUI, you got to go to class. If you get anger management, you got to go. If you get beat your wife up, you got to go to anger management class. The same concept. If a guy's at risk of going to jail for non-child support, the judge is sending them to our program. We take them to this 12-week class. So when COVID hit, we had to shut down like everybody else did. So we decided to put our curriculum in a book. And it is the thing they've been teaching for the last, since 2008. And these are some of the classes that we put in this book. The same class we've been teaching. And now we have a fatherhood component that this is a textbook. It's got 12 chapters for the 12 weeks. It's got 12 homework assignments at the end of it. And they have to complete the homework. And so they have to bring this book to class with them every time they come to class. And we take their homework. And we make sure that they're doing their homework. And we discuss this chapter. We have the other work charts that we work with. And it's imagine watching the guys the class and what a book in us. So we talk about what is fatherhood. You know, what is the act of being a father? And I don't want to get spiritual, then I will. God shared with us the same title that He's got. Right? Father. A father is an originator. Somebody who originated something, and then they sustain it. You just don't originate and then walk away from it.
Right.
If you're going to start something, you got to finish it. That's what fatherhood is. Then we talk about what is child support. And most of the time when you talk about child support, what you really think about is the money. That's a part of it. It's a major part of it. You do have to pay your child support money. I shouldn't be raising your kids. But there's more than child, much more than just paying the money. It's business for your child in every moral, spiritual, encouraging. And so we talk about child support. It's like, why do people get upset when you get with child support? Because they say, you know what, we're trying to do. Well, that is your child, number one. And number two, it's your responsibility to make sure that your child is getting the stuff that they need. We talk about co-parenting. What is co-parenting? It's two parents working together for the common goal, for the common good. Now, I don't know about you, but how many know that there's kids that, parents that use the kids? But
Oh, yeah.
Most of them. I grew up in a household in Vincent, and we had my mom would send us, my dad didn't beat us, but when he got you, we know we got that. All the, say what I'm gonna tell you that. That's all my mama had to say. Most of the time, that straightened me up. Because I didn't want my daddy to get me because it wouldn't be pretty. But my mom would send us to the ditch, the woods to get the switch. And that was an art to get the switch. You didn't get one too big. You didn't get one too small. You wanted to break about that third leaf. Now, you don't want to get a young tree, you want that thing to breathe. So we had, you know, we know how to fix it. But my mama hit me 3 or 4 times, she was a big woman, but all got tired, occupied, everything was satisfied. 2 things I always remember. Number 1, the switch always moves. And number 2, the switch always turns. And I tell parents all the time, when you use your child to beat the other parent, the switch is going to break, which is who? Your child. And it's going to hurt the other person. And they sit there like a deer in the headlights fight. I never thought about it. So stop using your child as a switch. Women do it, and men do it. When he get a, as long as he ain't got no girlfriend, she'll let the little Jimmy go see him all day long. Let him get a girlfriend. You ain't going over there no more. He say, take me off the child support. I'll come and get little Jimmy. And both of them are using the child now as a switch. And we teach them that is how to do things. I ain't gonna manage it. All that the doctor over here talking about anybody. This was his special.
I won't relate to wrong, but everyone gets angry. Everybody gets angry. So we can't say we don't get angry. The problem is how we express anger. How we express anger. And what I've been teaching the guys is how to help use coping skills and to recognize their triggers. So do that volcano. Instead of exploding, you go up the side of that mountain and recognize you're getting hot. Come on down the mountain. But anger is a natural emotion. So I don't try to tell people, oh no, you don't get angry. Oh yeah, because every one of you, we get angry. And think about what they're dealing with on a daily basis. I need a job. I need transportation. I can see my child. I gotta pay the restitution fee. I gotta go see my probation, but I got a job interview right now. Probation officer like, come see me, but you want the job too. So you see how it kind of lays the balance, and I don't fault anybody because that's how it goes. But you gotta go report. And here's the thing: they have to learn how to communicate. Let's see, communication is the key. Okay, I'm going to pick on the chief of value, shit right there. Chief of value, look, I know you're going to see me at 9 o'clock, but I got the benefit. If there ain't was possible, I can make it in by 11:30. And if you tell her, I'm sure she'll be like, yeah, go ahead and get that job and come and meet me and report to me. But see, our guys don't understand that. The chief of value may say, no, you wait till the last minute. Oh, she just trying to hold me down. And So we have to teach them how to communicate and communicate effectively. Now, a lot of times when it's on they don't communicate effectively. So once again, it's a whole learning process. But it can be done. You go to my 6-week curriculum, tell you, work miracles. Because you have to put in the work, I want you to face yourself. You have to face yourself with your own hand. You have to look in the mirror, see what your triggers are. That's my quick skill on anything.
The other thing, even before you get to that point, you committed a crime. Or maybe you didn't commit a crime. And because you had a court-appointed lawyer who didn't represent you well, now you go to prison for 18 months when you should have just been put on probation. So you're sitting in jail now, and you're angry. And guess what? You have a right to be. But there's a whole lot of guys who have a right to be angry. But we need to show them how the process is going to. So you sit there for 18 months, and and also we also talk about what unforgiveness. Now, unless you deal with unforgiveness, and that's all of us. It ain't just inmates. It's all of us. We all have to deal with unforgiveness. And if you don't deal with it, it'll eat our lunch. It'll cause that underlying anger to be sitting there, and the least little thing that happens to you. There's a space between what happens to you and your response to what happened. In that space, what you do in this space is the outcome. So if your place is right here, you're going to get a reaction. And most of the time, that action is done without you thinking, and that's how you end up going to jail. But if your place is over here, you got time to process your behavior before you respond. And that a lot of times, this is what anger management teaches you, is how to open that space up, that I can process what happened to me for my response. Because a lot of times, I forgot to steal my cigarettes. Now he shouldn't have stolen my cigarettes, that's correct. But he did. So what am I going to do? Am I going to get kicked out of the house? Because I'm going to get into a fight because he stole my cigarettes? Or I'm going to process and say, you know what? I just get myself out. I should have just kicked it out. And you have to think about that. And that's all of us. We have to process. There's certain things when I was doing anger management class, I called this lady up and she was saying, I can't control my anger. And I, she's throwing the ashtrays at her husband. And I asked her, what kind of work do you do? She said, I'm a representative for the phone company. I said, what do your clients do when they call and stress you out? Because I know sometimes when I call representatives for my cable company is not doing what I want them to do, I'm not very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what do you do when they call you? And she said, I'd be nice. But why? She said, because I don't want to lose my job. I said, oh, so this consequence. You choose to respond, depending on what the consequences are. So don't tell me you can't control your anger. You can. You just got to select the time you want to control it. All right, let's move on. No, I'm sorry. Domestic violence. One of the, I did a study. Most of the time I would have an answer. How many individuals have had domestic violence charge in the house? We do domestic violence. Probably about 6% of our houses at some point in time have had a domestic violence charge. Mm-hmm. And we deal with what domestic violence. Your goal as a man, as a father, is to protect your family, not to abuse. God made you bigger than your wife and your kids. Your job is to protect them, not abuse. Anything else, you abuse power. And we sit there and we got very sober with but they may not get that anywhere else. But we talk about your child's supposed to be coming home and going to sleep and medicine, not worried about what they're going to get done and beat mama. And 7% of men who beat their wives also beat their kids. Mm. It proves it. So we talk about this, and they look at me with prejudice like, and one guy said, he from the old school, he said, he was a young guy. They said, my daddy told me he had to feel every now and then. Mm. You have to let them know who's in charge. And I said, he said, I tried it, it didn't work out for me. So I ended up getting stuff in the abuse charge. I said, no, it didn't work out. It ain't never work out. At no point in time will anybody should lay their hands on their wife and beat them. She's not victorious. Mm-hmm. I did it. Now, how can you say and you're beating on your mom? And there's a good chance you're going to beat on them. So we talked about that. Destiny development, most of it, which is I love this part. Because destiny, most of the gift is inside of you, maybe inside your child. If you don't recognize it in you, there's a good chance you're not going to recognize it in your child. There's also a good chance that part of the father's responsibility is to pull out that gift and let him be exposed to it. It's both parents. But you need to be as a father to make sure that your child are getting exposed to things, make them gifts stand. God gave us gifts. Everybody's got one. And as a father, your responsibility is make sure your child is plugging into her gifts as well as you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to pick up the table. I'm sorry.
But that's very important. you know, guys walk, when guys, you know, get to understand their role in politics, get them with the kids, and now they really start to understand their responsibility as a kid. So one of the,
I got one thing.
Yes.
Now, look at the slide before we go by. One of the biggest things we are dealing with the men is substance abuse, mental health. The dual diagnosis. A lot of these guys are trying to manage their mental health with taking drugs. And unfortunately, you know, the opioid epidemic that's going on now, fentanyl, then have this new drug I call the zombie drug that is eating away the skin. And substance abuse is a big issue. And we have Monarch that we're working with Sigma, we're working with TASK, we're working with the PACE program. But this is a monster that's taking our men out. And here's an example. You go out and get high one day and you're all right. The next day, you go and do it again and you don't wake up. Do you think he intended to OD? No, he didn't. But it's happening. And no matter what it's hard, guys. It's one of the things that we battle with all the time. Trying to get them the correct treatment, trying to figure out the right match for them with treatment. And you know, all the information we get, all the statistics and everything we get, it just seems like it's just not sticking. Now you have some that have gone through and have been rehabilitated, but the majority of them are not. And it's just like drugs are just ravaging our community, they're ravaging the men. And think about it, I had been locked up for so many years, and I come out and I'm trying to move to the world. Maybe I would try to escape too. I mean, I'm just saying, it's an escape, but we've got to give them something better than that escape. And I just haven't figured it out. And we try.
but sometimes plugging them to, letting them know about their purpose and destiny, sometimes that's the key as well. So they try this life, it don't work. But how can we give them another chance? How can we get them to understand that you don't want your kids to come fall in the same as you? And I did a story called Two Guns. What, you know, little boys, what do they get when they, little girls, what do they get on Christmas? They get baby dolls, they get little tea sets, they get and all this stuff for their hair. And mama did teach her how to do all that stuff, right? She did a show. But she grows up. Mama's there. She's become a little girl now. She, you know, she needs to go for body change. And mom takes her to the store and tell her what she needs to get. Mama's there to help her. She's grown up. Now she gets a boyfriend. Mama shows her how what she shouldn't be doing with the boy. How to protect. Now she has the baby. Mama's there to teach her what to do with the baby. This is between a wet cry and a cry with scorching stick. Mama's there to show her how to treat her husband, how to talk to her. What does Jimmy get? When he grows up, he gets done. He feels the ball, that's the ball. He gets what if he always be? He get out. The difference is that is not there. He has to go down to the streets. Let somebody else play checks with him because dad is not there. He has to go to school to learn about the bees, the birds of the bees, because dad is not there. Now he has two guns by the time he's 18. One in the back of his pants and one in the front of his pants. His dad just had to talk him how to use the one. The first one in the back of his pants, he doesn't drive by it. Because daddy's not talking the responsibility and the danger of a gun. The one in the front of his pants, he has 3 kids by the time he's 21. But dad haven't taught him how to use that one either. Get the point?
Mm-hmm.
We have to have a fatherhood on it. They have to know. They have to be taught. If they're not taught, they're missing out on a lot because they're not taking for enough. A lot of these guys are grew up in a household without their dad. They have no clue what it is, but yet they got 3 kids. But at some point in time, we have to teach them what it is to be a father. Not only that, but how to be.
That's good. You know, the reason I said that's good, Dr. Warren teaches this class, but I was sitting back in the observatory one day. And he asked the guys, he said, what does a good father look like? So they started listening on the side of the board.
I set them up.
And so then he said, well, what does a bad father look like? They listened on one side of the board. And then he said, well, which one are you? And they sat there with this look on their face. And I thought that was so profound because supposedly they didn't know what a good father was. But they went down this whole list on what a good father should look like. And then they went down this list of what a bad father should look like. And then I think they had an epiphany to realize that they were fitting in the bad father category. But they already knew what the good father should look like. But they wasn't following that lead. And what I like about this fatherhood class that Dr. Warren teaches in the 12-week curriculum, at the end, I see the light come on in these guys' eyes. The light about taking care of the children. And a lot of times, taking care of your children doesn't mean that you got to have finance. Sometimes you will, but just being there, like you say, play catch, walk to the store, walk to school, or just to talk or hug, get some comfort. These guys didn't realize the only thing they need to be is in their shelves of life. A lot of times we want to think that it's the money part, but it's not the money part. Yeah, money works. You know, we need money, but I need you to be there. And I think with his program and his teaching, the guys are realizing that he can be in my time. I just need to be there. I need to be there when they come home from school or when they got to play at school. I need to go and support. That's all the child wants. And they realize that, let me tell you, I was skeptical once I worked with them. I was, I'm like, somebody else a problem? But after I read it and started actually studying it, I'm like, you got something here. Mm-hmm. And it's so simple. A lot of times we think fatherhood is this profound thing we have to do. Mm-hmm. But as you said, it's already innate in them. It's already innate in us how to take it back. But sometimes you have to tell you, a little nugget right here, this tool breaker works. It works.
People tell me, I read this book, I read it several times, but that book changed my life number of years. And one of the ones I talk about is putting first things first, which is priority. Which means that which matters the most should never be subject to that which matters the least. So if your kids mean the most of you, it shouldn't be subject to your judgment. If your kids mean the most of you, it shouldn't be subject to you going back to prison for breaking the enemy. So what priority do you have? What's most important? Somebody else raising your kids? Are you raising your kids? And we build it down into their head and get them the kind of we want to be free. That you need to get your priorities, and your kids should be your number one priority. So these are some programs that's out there. Day Dad, National Fatherhood Initiatives, our program, the Joy of Fatherhood. That's what our curriculum is called. This is the book. And we can talk about how you can get it later on. We have our let me go to the next slide. We have our you can go to our website and order the book, or you can go to Amazon.com. We also are getting this book into the hands of inmates. we came up with what we call reverse book signing. So you donate this book and we send it to the inmate. So last month we donated, people donated 312 books to, the program. We want to keep increasing this. And again, we teach a class at Wake County Detention Center. Every Tuesday, we got 4 weeks on and 1 day off. 4 weeks on, 1 week off. And we can dip this down to 4 weeks on this in the detention center. A lot of guys not gonna be there for weeks. We do this in 4 weeks. And I was telling the guys, and he said, "You got jokes." I said, "You got plenty of time on your hands." He looked at me and was like, I didn't come out wrong, but look, you got plenty of time on your hands to read this book. And so they do, and they come to class sitting at the edge of the seat and they soaking up the stuff. Because we teach, it's called dads at a distance. How many do they still dads? They're at a distance, but they're still dads. We're teaching them how to be fathers, even at a distance. So these are some of the houses that we have. We have 5 houses: Archie's house, Edward's house, Kenneth's house, Wesley's house, and Herbert house, which we're about to open up in hopefully in the next few weeks.
Yes, Lord.
We have my daddy's close closet, which is we partnership with the community. They're very close. We serve the guys in, not only in our community, but out we feed a female today, and all the guys come and say they can wait. But we got some very good cooks, and we eat good there.
That's really well.
So we got my dad's working, my dad's car wash, which is a mobile unit. I'm gonna get into a whole lot of details. When we started washing cars just for guys to get cigarette money, but we turned that into an academy now. So it's a 12 weeks academy. Not only are they learning how to wash cars, they're learning how to detail cars. One of the guys graduated, went to the United Pennsylvania, back hometown, as a foreman working in the store. He's a supervisor working at a detail shop. He's running the whole shop.
And who got one to start his own business?
One for the whole business. And we're gonna be doing a big job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. So at this time, we can open up questions or comments or yes, ma'am. Okay.
What's that? Are not.
Unfortunately, we don't take
Take it online?
Yes, we are. But now because of COVID, we're doing a lot of other things. We got our team set up already. They can do that. But also, we're gonna have a self-study online, and we're gonna be doing. So that's an opportunity to get that. Just keep going to our website. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, it'll be up. I'm ready to go to people can take.
The second question is for, I know you said for men that have kids, but like, yes, but I get the math, their kids will flash it up before they see that their kids, on that time, are they over?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Everybody else, whether your kids, whether you have kids, or you don't have kids, the only thing to a person when you don't take it, well, in our house. Other than that, anybody can attend our program. Where we want to good dads, be better dads. We have struggling dads, or it could be dads who are not doing very well. Yes, ma'am.
Just curious, I've worked with a lot of guys who want to get back in their children's life and they're dealing with an element that's not in their control, whether it be the mother or some other factor that don't allow them to see the child, and they're sort of in an underhand because they have a record or they have going on. So I'm just curious how you encourage, what direction you push when they're in children.
Yeah. Well, if they don't have, they can't contact them. First of all, if they can contact them, then we encourage them to take what you can get at this time until you can get more. Don't walk away from kids. I just see when you get over 18, we teach them how to fight for their kids. And you may start out with getting every other weekend, but you fight for that. And as a right, you have a right as a father. Right. You don't call the shots. So you might need to take them back to court.
They have to go to court.
Right. Exactly. And sometimes all you have to do is go. They might not cost you no more than a couple $100 to fill out a visitation thing. You don't have to have a lawyer for that. You could go down and say, as a father, I have a right to see my kid. And you can go before a judge And they may sometimes, depending on what your charges are, and I tell the guys, this is an uphill battle, but it's worth fighting. And you don't stop because she says you don't want to do it. It's not, she don't call all the shots. But there's a right way to do it, and everybody's situation is different. So I can't give you a blanket, no
Right.
more than don't stop, don't
Like
give up.
sometimes they're averted, they don't want to support, you know.
Well, yeah, and I get that. A lot of times you don't have to go to court. But because if, you know, and we tell the guys a lot of times, the court system is designed to, we want the court system to do what it's not designed to do. It's not designed for us to make us get along. It ain't that. That's not going to happen. Because that's not the court system designed for that. You and I have to get along. But when that's not there, we have to use a court system. And so I would try them to use any power they can. You know, and I tell the guys a lot of times, if you done something that, you know, offended this person, what have you done? First thing you need to do is call them, apologize. Don't be the victim. Say, you know what? I don't know why she married me. You do know why. You don't got another, you know, her best friend pregnant. You know why she married you. Don't become the victim of this. Admit what you've done wrong, apologize, and then start trying to build a relationship. It's not always as simple as that. But don't become a victim. Take responsibility for what you did and then start building for there.
You know, a lot of times we tell them you have to take baby steps.
Yeah.
You have to take baby steps to get back to your child's life because it didn't happen overnight. So, you know, you have to show that person can build with that you are making the change. And that child will see it also. So you gotta take baby steps. That's
Yeah.
it.
It is, but we have scholarships available. Yeah. My name's good. So I'm leaving this story. There was a village in Africa who was known for the highway. They had a lot of elephants, a lot of herds of elephants. And this jungle full of elephants. So the village next to it was, a lot of people started coming in. They stayed at the village, little village, and they would go out in the jungle and they would kill the elephants. And over time, they killed most of the male elephants. So over time, the little baby elephants started migrating to the village at night, going to the trash can. But this elephant is little, he's a baby elephant, but he still weighs 800 or 900 pounds. So he's now running into Cadillacs. He's bumping into people's cars. And he's putting a dent. Not only is he going to the trash, but he's denting their car. So they begin to look, why is these little elephants now coming to the village at night, still staying in the jungle? Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't understand it. So they brought some scientists. They tried to figure out what was going on. It didn't take the scientists long to realize you had killed all the male elephants. Mm-hmm. They was all gone, both of them. So they went out to another part of Africa, brought some elephants in, and almost immediately the behavior stopped. Because at nighttime, the male elephant would stand up and raise his trunk and do out a yell that says, it's time to come home. And all the elephants will come back to the jungle. Elephants wasn't there to do that. They didn't come home. So the point is, when we teach fathers how to stand in their backyard and say it's time to come home, you're going to see the little boys and the little girls come home. Again, imagine a world where every child has one. So that I'm talking.
Yeah, thank you.